How's it going, everybody? Welcome to a brand new video. Feel free to follow us on Snapchat, and of course make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. All that being said, something huge is happening in the world of cryptocurrency, well, on the internet in general, and it's going to trickle over to all different sectors, but cryptocurrency stands to benefit the most. There's a social media bubble that's essentially plummeting right now. Twitter stock plunges 21%, and obviously we've seen in the news Facebook isn't doing any better, and realistically it seems as if all these old groups of technologies and these old powerhouses are coming to a swift and steady decline at their own hand. But this opens up a great opportunity for people who are paying attention to cryptocurrency and who want to see these different things succeed, but at the same time we're also seeing sort of a tank in the price, some people call it. I honestly consider it a healthy correction, but also at the same time a really interesting thing. Bill Clinton really cozying up to Ripple, which ultimately gets me feeling a little bit uneasy about Ripple. It sort of is the establishment technology which already has people feeling uneasy about it, and it seems, it's almost a ding against Ripple seeing someone like Bill Clinton all over it, but I think that this also is a fundamental indicator of where we're seeing Ripple and how they're positioning themselves as of currently. Obviously the reputation that Bitcoin has developed for itself, as it started as a $20,000 at its all-time high, now it's down to 7,000. Of the casual observer probably thinks of cryptocurrency as going through some tough times, but those of us who've been involved with crypto for any amount of time, we certainly are aware of the volatility and the relative nature of these different things. But all that being said, it is interesting to see how the conversation revolving around regulations and all these different things is going to be really, I mean, this is one of the most interesting things, I think, is how Forbes list has honestly taken a liking to crypto with these positive articles that we've been seeing. Of course, seeing how Forbes was telling people how to buy cryptocurrency, there's certainly a motivation behind it that's happening below the surface. So Bitcoin actually at 0.1 in the green at the time of making this video, and of course this does bring to mind a really significant thing that we all really need to have in the back of our minds. The old saying that people talk about that's really going to kill cryptocurrency, not entirely, but to a large degree it's a large hump that needs to be come over, which is the fact that right now the space of people buying stuff, who's going into a coffee and using a Litecoin, we've talked about this before. I've been paying attention to the won, the yen, because when people are buying a coffee these days, they're going to be spending the euro, they're spending the pound, they're spending the Canadian dollar, the peso, they're spending the Australian dollar. Wherever you are in the world, you're not using cryptocurrency. Probably the amount of people who are actually using these technologies and the functionality of them, and of course the stability of the space to actually have that sort of wide range of use is still to this point a lot to be desired. And of course we're going to need to see a lot of various different developments happening in terms of the conversation that's happening surrounding regulations and a whole legacy of things that are going to need to happen. And of course, I mean, we're seeing these things developing right in front of our eyes, and of course people cite the fact that Bitcoin dominance is where it currently is at 48.7%. Some people think that that's good, but then again you have to take into consideration another key variable is the fact that when we're seeing all this red, the tendency is for people to go where they think that the least amount of volatility is, and since Bitcoin's at the top, people tend to go in that direction. So we've seen a rise in Bitcoin dominance over the past couple of times. We've seen these sort of panics and so forth, and of course it's nowhere near where it was towards the end of 2017, like March 2017. We were seeing somewhere around the peak of Bitcoin dominance, but of course we have to take into consideration what's happened as far as the market's a completely different place nowadays. But of course, I mean, this is a very Interesting time. I mean, the conversation that's happening on an international scale is really going to be interesting as far as how it leads to how these institutions and these institutional investors are ultimately going to be putting their foot in testing the waters, so to speak, to turn a phrase. And of course, seeing what's happening with the yuan. And the recent news about this 8% ding, this erosion, whatever you want to call it, I see that as actually a decent development happening as far as I mean, it's obviously everything in the international scale is going to lead to one another, and but realistically, the erosion of the one might be good for Bitcoin, because I would say that people seeing that this the current way that things are happening, it does affect on an international scale a lot of different technologies, and that's not even outside of the realm of cryptocurrency. It affects these as well. It affects the and of course this is going to be a big variable moving forward, but I think that there is a significant degree of potential for the public to gain a significant area of trust when it comes to seeing these things as they develop, and of course cryptocurrency is still in its infant stages, and realistically, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the market cap go down to 250, but then again, I've been involved with cryptocurrency for a number of years now, and I've seen a lot of things happen. We've seen kingdoms rise and fall in the world of crypto, so realistically anything is possible. But then again, I've been saying this for a long time, that we're probably not out of the woods yet when it comes to this sideways momentum, and realistically, I mean, this could continue to go on for a year. I mean, you think about how long we were waiting just to see this upward spike, but it doesn't happen every single day. I mean, obviously there's spikes upwards and downwards in crypto all the time, and realistically it all comes down to strategy and mindset and what your research is leading you to believe. So I mean, it's anybody's guess as to where it's going to be going from here on out. Not a very exciting day as far as cryptocurrency goes. I'm sure you guys are feeling pretty similar to I am. Pretty down in the dumps, rainy day, a lot of red, nothing really in particular special. However, of course, remains to be seen. There are some technologies that are doing fairly decent, and of course, congratulations to those of you who saw these things coming, because of course not everybody has the foresight to know what's going to happen. I mean, if I knew the future, I wouldn't have to be making YouTube videos, I'll tell you that much, because but of course the good thing about cryptocurrency is that you can analyze trends, and you can essentially do your research, and from a data analytical perspective, you can come to your own understanding, and freedom of will, you can make your own decision, and maybe you'll get lucky. But I don't think that there's any such thing as luck, and if you're relying on luck in the world of crypto, you're probably going to get squashed, obviously, unless luck is on your side. But then again, I'm rambling. The fact of the matter is, we're looking at a $267 billion market cap, and I mean, there is a lot of interesting news though on an international scale involving the way that we've been seeing these different international currencies interplaying with one another. And I still think that Bitcoin is a very unique alternative, and as we see the weaknesses starting to show in all these various different currencies, there is still a light at the end of the tunnel. I was looking at obviously, like we were saying, these news articles by Forbes talking about cryptocurrency. This is a sign that the establishment, I mean, Forbes is very mainstream, normal people sort of news, but it's getting people thinking about cryptocurrency, especially in this market. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's the name of that is regulations, and it also is a double-edged sword, because once that gets into play, we will probably miss the days of seeing all this volatility. So all that being said, you have to realize, count your blessings while they're here, because blessing ignored soon becomes a curse. And as far as crypto goes, cryptos. We still are in the days that we're going to look back on with nostalgia, and the $7,000 Bitcoin day. We might not see this day for too much longer in the future, but then again, that might not be the right way to look at it, because I wouldn't put the $5,000 Bitcoin completely off the table. But then again, I still think that there's potential to see that upward spike. But then again, I've always been known as an optimist in this space. I mean, of course, remember, I'm not a financial advisor. This video is not financial advice. Video is for entertainment, educational purposes. And remember, I'm not your dad. So when it comes to these things, always make sure that you're doing your own research. I'm still of the school of thought that Ethereum might soon overtake Bitcoin, or some technology similar to Ethereum that leverages smart contracts. And I think that there's going to be a multitude of variables that come into coordination in those last few defining moments of the crypto space and how we see these things developing. But it is an interesting time to be paying attention to the way that things have been going overall. Remember, if you guys are interested in connecting with us, you could do so easily by our Twitter handle is @CryptoTuber, and a link to that will be provided in the description. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one.